In today's video, you'll learn how to use ChatGPT-4o to find revenue per employee for different type of companies. This type of analysis is quite useful for financial analysis. So if I analyze companies such as NVIDIA, Google, Tesla, companies I'm invested in, then I often want to compare like their historic efficiency in terms of revenue per employee, profit per employee, net margin over time, and so on. And I want to compare it with different competitors. And so as an investor, we need to be aware of the new tools that come along every so often so that we can be on the right side of change. And that's why I decided to share these little videos. And I have not seen anybody doing it, but I think like simple tools like this will completely disrupt the financial analysis space. Okay, so let's get started. Here's the mind-boggling capabilities of ChatGPT-4o. So we can ask it to research the revenue per employee, for instance, in the last 10, and I will give you the most simple form. Last 10 years for Google, Tesla. Let's maybe compare the revenue per employee for all the seven magnificent seven companies, right? So we have Amazon, Apple, what else? Tesla, Amazon, Apple, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Meta. Okay, so Facebook. So these are the like the biggest companies on earth, the magnificent seven, the biggest tech companies that disrupt our like economy. Yeah, and you can ask questions like this. And now look at the beautiful information. Okay, now it's asking me to split test because it needs to learn, right? This one's still browsing. Here, it's very quick to search like five pages. It's really interesting. These are really both not too helpful. Maybe let's probe a bit further. So let's maybe have it a bit more specific question. Research the revenue per employee in the last 10 years for Google, Tesla, and Amazon. Yes, okay, this is what I want, right? I want the last 10 years. Here we have the revenue. I would just want to have this list. This is great. Okay, so the first answer is definitely the best one. Now it asks for each of those companies, it researches the revenue per employee in the given years. Yeah, this is exactly what I want. Okay, so this is the better answer. And now let's ask it to maybe add the competitors right now, so that we have all magnificent seven stocks before we plot the information for ease of comparison, right? We will have a beautiful plot in the end, I hope. So let's see what it does. I mean, getting to this kind of information is really tough, right? If you Google, for example, as it works, we can Google it, revenue per employee, say Meta, historic. If you click this fin box, for instance, we cannot really. We need to create an account and stuff. So it's really complicated to get to this information, right? Oftentimes we need to pay for this, or maybe we with Statista we get one free page inside. But now, like ChatGPT completely disrupts this information because it just spits it out, right? It does the research itself. It acts as a research agent and just gives us this information. Okay, so now we want to have a beautiful plot, right? Now plot all this information in a single chart. And now, like in less than 5 minutes, we have created a beautiful chart with comparing revenue of the major tech companies of the Magnificent Seven, where you would have to pay like a financial analyst like a couple of years ago, or maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you would have to pay a financial analyst for a whole day to do the research, to figure out this information and stuff. Right now, you just ask ChatGPT to get such a beautiful chart. I mean, look at this. This is just so beautiful, right? Here, interestingly, in light blue, we see NVIDIA revenue, and you can see how much revenue they actually make. This is in millions, right? So in 2014, Amazon, for instance, made 0.27 million per employee. And then Amazon, over time, grew the revenue per employee. Whereas, interestingly, Amazon is actually the red line. So Tesla grew revenue per employee faster than Amazon, right? So Tesla seems on its way up on this chart, comparing the revenue per employee. But there are other companies, like for example the light blue one, NVIDIA. It is skyrocketing recently, and from all the Magnificent Seven stocks, it has now the second largest revenue per employee. So it really uses like $2 million bucks of revenue per employee. And as the profit margin of NVIDIA is pretty high, I would say it makes the largest net profit per employee of all the tech companies. I think it has the highest net margin of the major tech companies. And here you see Apple, for instance. It was leading the field, like it made 2.4 million per single employee. And now let's maybe have an additional reference. Let's compare this to non-tech companies, right? Use a dashed line so we compare it to like Walmart and other companies. As it works, we can still have a look at this chart. Here also in yellow, you see why I like Google so much. Google was the tech company with the second largest revenue per employee. And actually these tech companies, they are so efficient in terms of revenue per employee. So they pay their employees maybe 100,000, 200,000, right? But the employees make them 1.8 million. So they can hire more and more employees to make more and more revenue in theory, right? But of course, as they hire more employees, usually the efficiency, the revenue per employee reduces. But why are they able to make so much revenue? Like, this is completely unlike all other companies. Why do they make so much revenue per employee? The reason is simply software, right? They write software, they write code, they use even Tesla. Tesla is more a software company than a hardware company. And as they write software, they become more efficient. And you see Amazon, for example, is the company with the least amount of software in their business, right? Because they have like 1 million employees or so, all working in logistics sector. So, and I think over time with AI and robotics, we will see more this software revenue per employee rise. I think it will rise for all companies in the space, but of course the companies that are on the right side of change, the companies that completely disrupt the space, they will have hundreds, thousands of times the revenue per employee. And so now it does research for Walmart, Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson. So these are like very traditional businesses, General Motors and McDonald's. And now you see here we have, like, on the bottom, you have like McDonald's, General Motors, Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, like all these Walmart, all these companies, they make like for example, at the bottom we have Amazon and Walmart making like 290,000 per employee, which is still a lot, right? Because they pay maybe a tenth of it to employees, and of course they have other expenses, right? But I mean, you see why NVIDIA is rising in stock price, because they make so much revenue per employee. They make 2 million. So every single employee that works there increases the revenue of the company by 2 million on average. And that's why they are so efficient. And this kind of information, it is just mind-boggling. I mean, think Warren Buffett, what he would pay for such a chart. If you can really, but he is not using computers, he's famously avoiding computers. But I think like incorporating this information in your financial analysis can be a complete game changer. So I found it really interesting to use this kind of data. And if I'm analyzing a company, I try to find these different points of comparison where I can see trend. Like for example, the green one would be Meta, and the Meta revenue per employee seems to drop a bit, right? Which is not a good sign, right? So they become less efficient in terms of revenue per employee. This doesn't necessarily mean a red flag, but this just means that at this point in time here in 2020, Meta and Google had about the same revenue per employee, but then Meta in the short term even outgrew Google, but then in the last 3 years it has fallen since then, right? So I tend to invest in those companies that persistently grow their revenue per employee to become more and more efficient, and because this means that those companies is like the definition of efficiencies, right? Human resources is the biggest expense factor for all companies, but if you can manage to have a huge revenue per employee, then you are more like a software scalable AI first business, right? Because the more AIs we have, the more value we create per human employee, and these are the winning companies of our time. And you can see it here plain and clear, right? NVIDIA with 2 million in revenue. But Apple still the number one company in market cap and also the number one company in revenue per employee, right? And you see why. This is why Apple is such a great business, but it is attacked. The moat is attacked, right? And but still, I would say Apple would probably be a solid investment in the future. No investment advice. Okay, thanks for watching. As I'm figuring out these new tools for investors and using ChatGPT-4o for financial analysis, I will release new videos on the Finxter YouTube channel. So give me a like, subscribe to the channel. We have seen a new growth wave in the last month, and I hope to keep the momentum. So give me a like, please subscribe, please, to the channel. I would appreciate having you here. Thanks for everything. Thanks for your time and attention. I appreciate having you. I appreciate you gifting me your most precious, most valuable resource, which is your time. And see you in the next video. Bye.